Welcome to Star Citizen and the XXL guide to the inventory system as well as the NikNax app.
No, you say that you love me, but you walk out the door.
With Alpha 3.15, we get the new inventory system as well as the NikNax app for the mobiGlas, whereby the personal player inventory has undergone fundamental changes and adjustments.
Now, come on, I said come on, I said come on.
In this guide, we will therefore go into all the new areas and mechanics as well as the possibilities to use the inventory.
Hard rain is falling.
Here we have to distinguish between restrictions and the different inventory areas, as well as plan ahead in the future which items we need for which purpose and whether they can be replaced if necessary.
Every time that I call you.
Our first decision, which directly affects our inventory, is the choice of a residence, which means that all newly acquired items and chips from the Pledge store, as well as our anti-hanger content, will be located there. Our residence, this represents a main inventory, which we can access by pressing the I key or via the radial menu if we are in this area.
Hard rain is falling.
Other inventory areas are our character, as well as all ships and vehicles which we have in use after an initial spawn.
It's gonna be the same.
In order to access our character inventory, we first need appropriate equipment with a carrying capacity, from our local inventory of the residence or from a local shop. Our residence here is in the Hurston area, although it can also be accessed at the Everest Harbor Space Station. The filter function of the individual inventory areas is useful here, especially with larger inventory. If this cannot be called up, open the inventory again. To use equipment, you can drag it from the inventory directly onto your character, which will give you a preview. Alternatively, a right-click on the corresponding item is enough to equip it, but without a preview view. And depending on the item of equipment, you will receive different carrying capacities, which are available directly in the piece of armor as well as in a backpack. However, an undersuit is required as the basis for armor pieces. You can equip your character directly from the local residence inventory, or alternatively after a shopping tour in one of the shops in the residence zones, whereby all currently worn equipment carries a risk of loss if you are forced to respawn outside a residence zone. And of course, it is also possible to equip weapons, gadgets and other pieces of equipment via the inventory system. Through the filter system, we not only have a quick sorting function, but also a direct visual view, which shows us the items already in the inventory. Furthermore, all items have been given micro SCU values to fit into the existing SCU system, as well as dimensions, which means that large items cannot be stowed in backpacks or armor. So we can put rocket launchers in a small backpack. And with backpacks, we also get a new item category that we can actively equip and use. However, depending on the backpack category, we need the corresponding armor to equip it, which is indicated for each backpack type. It is therefore advisable to first buy a few different models in the residence zones and shops in order to be able to combine them depending on the armor worn. And since there are also many other new and reworked items, it is worth visiting the already familiar shops anyway, like here at Tammy & Sons on Lorville. Under armor we find the backpacks, whereby the compatibility with the breast armor is indicated for each model, light, medium or heavy. And And also the well-known protective suits like the Pembroke or Novikov need their own backpack, which also has to be bought separately. And to finally equip a backpack, we again go to our inventory, and after buying it, we find our backpack in the respective local inventory, which we can then simply drag onto our character. However, some items can only be used with the corresponding equipment combinations, such as the aerial armor and its backpack. In addition, the properties of the back extensions worn on our backs vary considerably depending on their size, which ultimately determines the possibilities for transporting items in them. In addition, not only the weight plays a role, but also the dimensions, whether an item can physically fit into the container. In order to transport large items such as weapons, armor and more, we have no choice but to use a sufficiently dimensioned ship or vehicle with appropriate storage facilities. However, we still have the choice of carrying guns and other weapons directly on the character, whereby we can use different capacities depending on the chosen armor. However, we always run the risk of potentially losing everything carried on the character or stowed in backpacks. To equip smaller items, such as magazines, gadgets and more, we recommend using the zoom function with the mouse wheel to hit smaller slots. We can also divide up item stacks directly in the inventory system. To do this, simply right-click on the stack and specify the desired quantity. This allows us to divide magazines into sufficient quantities for the desired mission, so that we do not lose our entire ammunition supply in battle. It is also possible to equip various attachments and extensions for weapons and gadgets directly in the inventory menu. Alternatively, this is of course also possible afterwards, as soon as we can actively use the weapon or gadget outside the weapon-free zones, in order to then attach the attachments there. And also at this point, it is advisable to select in advance the equipment adequate for the purpose of use, and ultimately to leave stocks in the resident store. Depending on the weapon or gadget, we also get a detailed indication via the tooltip of how many item slots are available, which attachments have been attached, and whether any slots are still unused. But what happens if we unexpectedly die? In such a case, it is important to distinguish where this unexpected event occurs. In the area of a residence zone, our entire inventory is directly stored again in the residence inventory. Thus, equipment losses in safe zones do not occur at first.
Stop, drop, pull it up and spin it. Everybody's got a little G-funk in 'em. I was staring through the glass with a grin on my face. A cold night, I let October 98. Clap, clap, whipping through the city. Lean back with the rat pat. Boom, boom, started a pat, 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 pat. No problems of mine, cause since...
In such a case, we first have to look of our fancy hospital gown in order to be able to help ourselves again from the local inventory.
Well, I'ma be cleaner than a divorceless marriage. I'm a horse and carriage with the doors and mirrors. Eating porridge and carrots. Embarrass your friends' parents. Now they're looking at a man with the world in his hands.
Here again, the filter function is recommended in order to find an undersuit as well as a necessary piece of armor, such as a helmet, quickly and effectively. And as a tip, automatically saved items can be found at the very bottom of the respective inventory area. An important warning: should we die outside of a safe area, our equipment becomes available to all other players at the location of our demise, allowing them to easily take our items. So again, take only what you can spare and really need for the mission at hand. Now we come to your NikNax app in your mobiGlass, which you can access by pressing the key F1. Due to the local inventory system, all vehicles, ships and personal items are located where you left them. And depending on the selection of your residence, all vehicles, ships and items will initially be stored there for you. As things currently stand, Hurston and Area 18 are an exception, as clinics have not been yet implemented here, and we therefore have an extended residence area up to the respective space stations. The NikNax app, the third icon from the left, gives an overview of all our items and vehicles, as well as their respective locations. A search function or extended filter function is not yet available, but has already been announced. If you leave a vehicle, ship or any other item outside of your residence area, these items will remain there permanently until you reset your account or there is a wipe of the inventory area. Furthermore, when we log into the persistent universe again, we receive information about our selected residence area as well as our current location.
Where did you go? I've been waiting for such a long time.
But how can we then transport larger items that exceed the personal character inventory? This brings us to the ship and vehicle inventory, which we can access in the immediate vicinity after spawning the vehicle, if it has the appropriate capacity.
But it's not over.
Light fighters, for example, only have a small external cargo container available for this purpose.
Give me some time to figure out the plan. I don't wanna let it go. I don't wanna hear you show.
But here too, a clear warning: everything you store in your ship or vehicle would be usable and lootable for all parties after destruction outside a safe area. And as a further tip, make sure that you store your ship again via the console after landing in order to avoid errors that could lead to a claim. In this case, the inventory inside the ship would also be lost, as you always receive a new factory model of the ship through a claim process, without cargo or items inside.
This you're sober. Give me some time to figure out.
The safe residence area is therefore particularly suitable for transporting items, as here you can access the character inventory, the residence inventory and the inventory of the active ship. It is also possible to use a high-capacity ship as your own storage and leave it there. And as far as the area of looting is concerned, is other players, foreign ships and their cargo, NPCs or other possibilities, there is of course another dedicated XXL guide here in the channel. And I can only repeat myself, only carry what you really need, then the loss is not great. I hope you enjoyed the video and leave me a like and maybe even a subscribe here. With the new inventory system, we have to get used to some new mechanics and systems at first, but this contributes to a much tighter immersion and believability, especially since we have to think much more about what we need and how we prepare for our adventures. In our opinion, the introduction has been successful so far and there have already been first patches and improvements to it. But as always, I'm interested in your opinion on the subject. What do you think of the new inventory system? Let me know in the video comments, in Discord or in the almost daily Twitch live streams. But as always, the most important thing at the end, a big thank you to all supporters, whether Patreons, channel members or Twitch subscribers. Without you this wouldn't be possible and you are enormous motivation, for which we like to say thank you. You rock! And of course, there will be extensive and top-notch giveaways from the best partners and us again this month. You can find how to take part and what to expect in the following announcement trailer. Good luck! I say goodbye until next time. See you soon and as always, see you in the verse.
Let's go dancing in the city lights. Painted red, gonna be no better time. We're feeling high and you know we got a good flow. And there ain't no one gonna tell us no. No, let's go. No hesitating. We gotta move, we gotta shake, we gotta get up on our feet and liberate it. You feel like something's out of control. Your mind says yes and your body says oh. Let's go, let's go. The sky is lit and it's gonna be a good night. What's mine is yours if it makes you feel alright. I wanna dance, I can feel it in my bones now. Feel the pull, oh, come on, let your body flow. So let's go. No hesitating. We gotta move, we gotta shake, we gotta get up on our feet and liberate it. You feel like something's out of control. Your mind says yes and your body says oh. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. No hesitating. We gotta move, we gotta shake, we gotta get up on our feet and liberate it. Let's vibe and levitate it. We gotta shout, we gotta sing, and we make no apologies for celebrating. We feel like something's out of control.